John Glon, how are you?
Awesome, Abizer. Happy to be here,
Yeah,
man. How are you?
excellent. Thank you. Thanks for making the time today. So this is John Glon. I don't know, known him for I don't know how long now. A brother from a different mother, and president, right? President of
Mhm,
Great Lakes Central Power.
mhm.
Uh, has supported industry for a number of years, and is now looking to take that his experiences and share them with other business owners to elevate them through I think you're now certified as a Bloom growth coach, right? Taking
Absolutely.
steps in that direction.
Mhm.
And so you always have something of value to add. So I'd love that you're taking the time to be with us today and sharing with all the listeners here today. So thanks for being here.
No, absolutely. And I am honored to be here. And I know we'll get into some of this, but what you personally have meant to me in my life, Abizer, is nothing short of incredible. And, as you have showed me, right? Thanks be to God for that. My journey and where I am, I have so much to be grateful for how much you have helped guide me and really helped me show myself the way. So again, massive amounts of gratitude to you.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's touching. I'll pay you later. And I do appreciate that. Thank you. And I think that last part you said was most important, right? Help guide yourself.
Mhm.
I think that is essential as a coach to, it's a partnership, right? And it's not about a consultant or somebody who's going to tell you what to do. It's a partnership about pulling forth what you already have and being able to get that you already have it and then start to use it and the joy that comes out of that. So that's fabulous. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
You're on. Go ahead.
I know. I was going to say, the I will do the plugging that you would humbly not ask me to do for you. I want to be clear and open for everyone, right? That Abizer is my personal coach, and so if I wasn't clear on that originally, he is, and the methods by which he does, and you do. Sorry, I'm beating you to third person. You're actually right here, but that's everyone else. That you are you do more in questions than you do in statements, and that is I say so many times to people, like just with my own kids, right? The more I tell them what to do, the more they do the opposite. Same thing with my employees, same thing with my clients, right? If I tell someone how they should do something, even though it might be right, they're going to take their own journey, their own speed to get there, versus if they make that decision and that realization themselves, they'll do it that much faster and that much more effectively. And that's the gift that God has presented through you.
Oh, thank you for that. The that telling versus uplifting that's a huge thing. You just kind of mentioned a couple sentences, but really to expand on that, the idea of seeing someone's potential and then also being able to recognize where they are in the conversation, right? It's so easy for me to take someone who has a lot of potential and knows that they're not getting there and judge them for that and assess them for that, and then hold them in that box. Like, oh, they're never going to get there. They don't even see it, whatever, all that stuff, right? I can go there. And what you talked about, like with your kids, right? Seeing what the potential they can possibly have and be in life, and then meeting them where they're at and taking them slowly through a journey at their pace, slowly, fast, whatever their pace is, right?
Yeah.
Taking them through that so they get to their full potential that you see. The bigger part of that is that, whatever potential I see is limited by what I see. So there's infinite more potential than even what I see, right? But at least I can get them to that point, right? Which is hopefully more than where they are now. And it's an uplifting experience for them as they go through that. I think that's been my biggest lesson in the coaching journey for myself, is that when I started this process, it was like, but you could be over there. Why aren't you there already? Look, here's what you got to do. That the telling part, the assuming that someone wanted to take that step, that even if it was uncomfortable, that they wanted it. and to really appreciate at some point that that's not always the case. And actually, by doing that, I end up short. It's like cutting a butterfly out of a cocoon before it's ready, right? It never flies. The wings never dry. It never flies. It's like that. So what a great point you just brought up.
Well, and then you just made about 14 in there that, we could expand on, I was reflecting back on when that you said, let it happen in their time, right? There's the patience required when most entrepreneurs, what we considered a driven person, is they got where they got because they were breaking down walls, or they're, they did it faster than someone else could, or whatever you want to say. Or we have the experience, certainly on the parenting side, we have the experience to know when to see something around the corner that they might not. The word patience keeps coming up because I know that's something we've continue talking about, which has been a point for me that I've continued to try to overcome, is the patience to see things through in the time frame that it needs, versus I see the end already, what I think the end is. But if that person isn't ready for that or doesn't even want that, we can't want it. And we've used this more than I've used this phrase so many times in the last few months. I can't want it more than them, right? I can't make it happen for them. They have to want it and take their own action on it.
Yeah. So how do we know that's a great point. I want to take this person from X to Y because I see it. I can see what it looks like. I can see the path. I can see everything. The patience, right? How do I naturally, in your experience of your own life, right? How do you bring that patience to bear when what you want to do is just smack that person and say, look, just go do it. It's like this, and give them the answer.
Again, because you're so acutely aware of my journey, and knowing how difficult that has been in different steps and with different people and the different relationships with those people. And the thing that you help me always come back to is, that patience is a reflection of our judgment or lack thereof, or again, it's expanded on it. So if, my version of how do we deal with that patience is, it's not flipping a switch. I know that, we deal in choices, but it's really hard because you're still undoing a lot of things that you're prejudging that person. You're prejudging what that outcome should be. You're prejudging, again, the timeline. And I think that the way to back to your question about how do we address that patience or how we deal with that, I think is purely gratitude that we're in this situation, and in wonder and awe. So when you say the potential of that person, if we view of what that potential could be and be in awe of that, I think that detaches from our ownership of having to get them there. If that is making sense.
100%. And suddenly it becomes about the journey rather than the destination. We always talk about that. And I think what you just gave us was the keys to the kingdom here, right? If I can be thankful in the moment and be thankful about where we're at and thankful about where we're headed, both eventually, whenever that's supposed to happen, right?
Yeah,
and enjoy the current moment, then it's a whole different day, right? Patience is natural.
Yeah, and I think, again, I can sit here and espouse to how great I am at doing these things, but my humanness continually shows up when I am in a different mindset. Just yesterday in a meeting with my team, right? Fantastic meeting, open, honest. There were some real things that were going on about structurally how we should be running things. And then there was a person involved, and there was some about maybe who I thought we should hire, someone that we've known in the past, that was one of our past employees, and one person happened to have an issue with them from the past. And it's been a few years, and there's been some growing moments. And me and my ego, because they were resisting, I jumped over the top and said, well, hey, we're still going to go through the interview process, right? And I'm not saying that we're hiring them, but it sure sounded like they felt like I was saying we're already hiring this person. And what I found out, because I found myself not in patience or not in openness of the moment to let people have their heart, because I was just like, nope, this is my agenda, and I'm gonna, again, that old part of me that has to prove everybody that I'm the right one, reared its ugly head yesterday, because I wasn't in a moment of, I wasn't in a place of intense gratitude. I wasn't thankful that these people had great opinions and great and real feelings, whether I thought they might not be founded or not. I immediately just judged and misplaced them for what their feelings were. And I, tried to clean that up in the moment, but that damage was done, that I just didn't catch myself soon enough. So that comes back to the thing we talk about all the time. It's now I know when I do that stuff. In the past, it was, the trail, there was a fire already being set and I was 5 miles down the road. I'd already scorched that earth back there and I was already down the road, not even realizing it. Now, at least half the battle is just being aware where I was in that.
I think that's pretty incredible. And thanks for your openness and your sharing of that. The courage is amazing. I want to acknowledge the courage there. And that you're the leader of this crew, and here you are owning up to it right there in the moment as it happened, right? It had been so easy for you. No one expects that from you. Nah, they may just slap it up as a boss being the boss and then move on. However, here you are, taking the next rung in your own journey and cleaning it up right then and there in the moment, right? And then the other part of that, being aware of it, that awareness, and being thankful for that awareness. You're talking about thankfulness and patience being tied together, right? And being thankful for the fact that you're now aware of it. How much patience does that give you for yourself, right? Just another human being on the planet doing the best you can, right? Instead of going into some self-judgment mode and beating yourself up over what just happened, here you are sharing it with us. We're all learning from it, and you're giving yourself that patience, which you just talked about. So you're like a living example of what you just talked about. Just fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah. We're perfectly imperfect, right?
Yes, indeed. And, this is the bigger game, and the name of the podcast, as you know. Yeah. And so I just want to go back a minute and just talk about the bigger game and how you've already taken that, how you're already living that, right? Instead of taking the short win about just ignoring what just happened in the room, there you are playing the bigger game and owning up to it and cleaning it up, right? Because when the bigger game is all about, do I want to take the short win, the immediate win? Do I want to be the victim of something, or do I want to avoid something, whatever I'm doing in the moment, dominate the situation, right? Mm-hmm. Take the short win, but then long term have the impact of that, right? Rest of the thing, I keep doing it over and over again. Short win, short win, short win. And what happens to my bigger game when I start looking at that, right? It becomes all this weight that I'm carrying, the impact of what just happened, whether I recognize it or not. So I just want to acknowledge that you're already playing the bigger game. I love that. Thanks for, we didn't introduce it, and there you were already talking about it. So I love that. Thank you.
Getting there, right?
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. There is no destination, right? It's a continuous journey, right? There's always the next rung to take.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Excellent. So, you shared a lot of nuggets already. Is there something essential that you would want to, inside the bigger game is the construction? Is there something that you'd want to bring up?
I think that there are a handful of ways we can go. I can go here, but I think from everyone, I've always told everyone that, I'm a knucklehead, and the best way I learn is by skinning my knees, right? And by, certainly in the past and still today, right? Maybe not being fully aware of what's going on, or again, like I tell this in school, tell this to my children about, my GPA in college. College is an experience, right? I wasn't in the mode of learning. I was in the mode of getting the experience of college. So do I apply anything in my day-to-day work through my business degree? I mean, it is, but not because of it, right? Of course I have to deal in finance and everything. But I would say the learnings that I have had, negative and positive, or hard, or what I thought was, and you help me through a lot of this, that I thought was tragedy, that thought was all happening to me. So in business, through Great Lakes Central Power, right, through my core business, I've stumbled along the way throughout the years, and in doing so, jeopardized plenty of things. And I think just some things still showing up, like just yesterday was a show up of a little bit of my shame and where we've been. We've done, I stepped back in, and the team has always been doing great things, but I stepped away for years. I really truly did. And in stepping away, I was running away from that, running away from my mistakes. And where, you have helped me is turn and face those and realize that those are learning moments. Those are not in my perfection. Those are learning moments. So the things that I espouse and I'll say today here on this podcast, or even to my clients, right? I didn't walk that same talk all the way through my business journey. So I am in a place now where, even though, again, some of that experience yesterday was still some of that shame showing up, because it was back to me saying, no, we got to fix this, because we should have held on to that guy a long time ago, when I really peel all the layers back. But really now, in me sitting in where the company is today, sitting in the good, sitting in the bad, and realizing we're all right here, and we're still here, and we still have a great company, we still have great people. I think this is a long-winded thing to say, that we can all say what we want. Our actions and our intentions are what really rules the day. So that was a little soapbox moment for me. That was a really long little path to get there. But, and I'm tying my own story together in my own head from earlier and what might've been surfacing.
That's great.
Yeah.
And that's great. Well, yeah, I think it's all about action and results, right? And where we come from when we take those actions. Like, you talk about the situation yesterday, for a moment, you forgot that for our listeners, right? Your love, joy, and compassion on the planet, right? Mm-hmm. And that lights you up. That's naturally who you are. And that was just, instead of being human, that was just forgotten for a moment. However, right, coming from there, the actions didn't align and the results didn't come the way you wanted, and you were always checking in with the results to make sure because there's nothing called internal reality, external reality, right? What I think is actually happening in between my two ears isn't necessarily what's happening out in the real world. It's just how I saw it. And the only way I can really tell is what the result I created. Mm-hmm. And so you just did that, right? You look at the result of what you created, realize it wasn't what you were hoping to create, step back and look at, notice your being was off. There were no love, compassion, joy wasn't present. Put it mm-hmm. back in, cleaned it up, and kept going. And then acknowledge here today and acknowledge it to them. And now your ego doesn't have a place to stand, because it's not anything you're hiding. How much time do we spend hiding something and then running from it because that shame, the overwhelm of whatever experience that's going to be like, sitting in the fire is going to be like, we run from that. We'll put so much energy into that. But when it comes to actually sitting in the fire and that mountain is just a molehill and it's gone, right? Mm-hmm. In reality, that's what happens. So again, kudos to you for that. Kudos for bringing up the internal versus external reality thing. That was a good thing that we brought up today too. So thanks for all that. Is there anything else you want to share?
I would say actually just a wonderful story of just had a courtesy driver driving home, trying to take my car to a dealer, and he's driving me back. And, I think we're so blessed to be where we are today, in the day and age with all the chaos and all the things that are happening externally. There's so much awakening so much awareness happening again, because knowing my own journey. But this driver, 24-year-old kid, Jay, he calls himself the Joker, right? He has this tattoo on his neck, and it's talking about why he's so serious. And when I met him, he was just all smiles, ready to take me home, right? And we started talking about. I said, "So what's your story?" And he jumped right in to talk about how he is on this planet to prove that where you come from is not where you are. And just like, whoa, wait a minute. This guy working at a car dealer who is just like kind of a runner, like the jack of all trades, driving the car and cleaning cars. And he just starts jumping into life lessons and telling me he's an MMA fighter. And I'm like, whoa, all right. And I told him, I was like, your screws got to be loose, right? And kind of joking around. He's like, yeah, but I'm having a great time with it. And yes, I can go to this point where I'm taking someone to the mat, and I have that. There's a hurt in me, and then there's love in me. And there's times when I harness it, and I was letting him go through this, but his journey and the way he was explaining his life experiences and where he's going was pure joy, was pure intention of, this is what I'm going to do, and this is who I'm going to be to get there. And the reason I put this on here is because we, taking life too seriously. I'm an MMA fighter, and people think I want to bite their heads off. No. I'm the Joker, right? I have a ball. And he had put it to our time in our age where there are different resources available, different conversations that are happening that helped him get here mentally and get here. So it was just a honest and real reflection of we as humans, who are showing up as, and how we show up at work is who we are as humans. And imagine if we all show up as who we are in our greatest self. What can we do professionally? What can we do personally? I don't know. I am optimized. I am absolutely optimistic and just jacked for humanity right now. Thanks be to God, right?
And we started the conversation with potential. Yes, indeed. And you started off with potential. Started the conversation was on potential, right? And that's where you ended up leaving us again, is the joy in potential, and all of humanity, not just one person, but humanity as a whole, which is you've taken us all to the next level. So thanks for sharing that.
And that's why I'm happy and glad, and I'm so glad that you're getting God is getting you out for folks to hear and see, because we're rising. You're helping raise the tides of humanity.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. Thanks for sharing that, and that was heartfelt too. I got that too. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thanks for being with us today. Is there anywhere people want to reach out to you? How they can reach out to you? And you want to leave anything for us?
Yeah, I would say I'm certainly on LinkedIn. I think the only one, John Glon, on LinkedIn. Great Lakes Essential Power. We have a website, glep.net, and for the Bloom Growth coaching side of things, bloomgrowth.com/coach, and you can find me searchable through there. So happy to help in any aspect. Oh,
thanks so much for being here.
Podcast. Sorry, the roll call with John Glon. So that's on Spotify and YouTube and everything else too.
Excellent. Thanks for being with us, John.
Hey, man. Thank you.